I won't bother you further. Thank you very much. Till the next one. Bye-bye, Piers.
Bye-bye.
To the communication room on the ground, because I was just interested. You know, Piers, people in Gaza are seriously starving as they are bombed every day without respite. 400 people are killed every day. And I've seen a glimpse of hope on the face of many because they were waiting for the flotilla. There should be more flotilla.
Come on, you don't
boats
believe
leaving
that
from
for a moment.
ports, and then
You don't
and
believe
then
that.
member states
Sorry,
should be
I'm
brave.
sorry, Francesca. It's simply ridiculous to think that anyone in Gaza was thought that this flotilla was actually going to get anywhere near them and give them any of the relatively meager supplies they had. The only person who ended up being fed was Greta Thunberg by the IDF.
Oh
How is
my
that?
God.
How is that anything but a painful embarrassment and a
Fed, do you
stunt?
really believe Israeli propaganda throwing sandwiches at them? While, of course, the answer was give it to the people in Gaza. Come on, Piers. Come on. You're better than this, Piers. That sandwich was for propaganda.
I think you're better than this. I think you're better than this. The idea you think that anyone in Gaza... No, hang on.
In the middle
Hang on,
of the
Francesca.
night. And this is what
Francesca.
Israel was scared of.
Francesca,
Yes.
you do not believe for a moment, if you're honest, that anybody in Gaza genuinely thought Greta Thunberg was going to rock up on the beach with supplies. You knew that was never going to happen. Nobody in Gaza said to you, did they? We think that's going to happen. Nobody did.
You clearly...
This is so ridiculous what he's just said, Piers Morgan. I mean, people are starving and they would die even for one drop of water. And they don't care if somebody goes there, in this case Greta Thunberg, to give them some aid. They would not gather, they would not care, and it would not help them at all. Like this pathetic moron, Piers Morgan, because he never went through starvation and what it feels like to be super thirsty, he doesn't really understand the gravity of the situation whatsoever. He makes fun of this aid going into Gaza, and in this case through Greta Thunberg. Unbelievable.
They seem not to read my mind, Piers, thankfully. No, it's that you're wrong, because you keep on focusing on Greta Thunberg, while
So do
people
you?
like me and people I've been speaking with in Gaza didn't even pay attention. For them, what matters is that humanity has not forgotten them, is that there is someone who tries to break that awful siege that has turned their ghetto into an extermination camp, Piers. Again, I say, let's move away from the flotilla, because the flotilla, one thing is sure, has raised two important points. First is that member states are not doing enough. And if there is something that is performative, is Western condemnation, including that of the UK, because this boat was sailing with a UK flag. And the fact that Israel says in international water, intercepted in international water, a UK flag sailing boat means that this is an act of, can qualify as an act of aggression against the UK. Have you heard the voice of any UK politician on that? Maybe they spoke. I didn't hear that. And again, this is the usual politics dynamic. The rest is that today there is a lot of attention, a lot of focus on this. And in 30 minutes, 1 hour, there were millions of people who had seen my alarm and that of others I was on the phone with them as they were encircled by vessels and then by quadcopters. Quadcopters are the drones who are there to shoot, Piers. And I asked these people, guys, put on the helmets, can you? And they say,
nobody shot them. Nobody shot them. No one did anything
to them.
In
2010 they did. Can you predict what Israel will be doing? It's not bad. I was sure that Israel will not give order to shoot at these people because of their visibility. But it takes...
So Piers Morgan basically saying that even though the quadcopters were there and they were armed, but they did not shoot this boat, this flotilla. And the way Piers Morgan is presenting it to us is that, well, it's not really a big deal. They did not shoot at them. Like these quadcopters, there was really nothing to be afraid of. They should not terrify, Francesca. This quadcopter should not terrify those people on the boat, including Greta Thunberg. I mean, this is how he's downplaying a situation that could get out of control and could end up killing people. Unbelievable, Piers Morgan.
One person to be in the wrong state of mind for things to go incredibly wrong. 10 people lost their life in 2010, Piers, and we would dishonor their memory if we continue to ignore them and talk about Greta Thunberg.
2010 is a very different story at a very different time.
Why?
For you, Piers, but not for the people in Gaza.
Exactly.
Hello, because you woke up in 2023 after
No,
October.
I was covering it in
2010.
Sorry, just to be clear, I was covering
They
it.
had already suffered.
I was covering it then. I
1,300
worked at
deaths.
CNN. I was covering it all then. I've covered this conflict for decades.
Francesca, she's losing it. She's losing it, and she's gonna just leave. She's gonna storm and she's gonna disconnect the mic and she's gonna leave because Piers Morgan is complete BS.
So don't insult.
And you keep on calling
Don't be
conflict,
patronising
Piers.
about when I've covered this and what I've said. If you go back and check, you'll know. But the reality is that despite your heroic attempt to build this as some great, fantastic protest that grabbed the world's attention, actually most people thought it was a puerile, pathetic stunt by an attention seeker.
Where are the statistics, Piers? I really would like to see the statistics because I don't think so at all. Piers, this is so disingenuous because it really, look at what's going on around the world. There is support expressed toward the flotilla all over.
The flotilla's a
From
joke.
Tunisia today, from
Sorry,
Algeria,
I'm
from
sorry.
Morocco. This is the
The
first time that
flotilla
something
was
like this
a
happened.
joke,
Why
a
are we
publicity.
talking about the flotilla and not
It
Gaza?
was an attention-seeking publicity stunt that was designed to raise attention for Greta Thunberg. Nobody else, no one in Gaza has benefited from this ridiculous
It's
stunt.
only you
It got nowhere
focusing on
near
Greta
Gaza.
Thunberg.
It was never going to
Piers.
get anywhere near Gaza. Obviously, she knew
only
that.
you.
We knew
Why
that.
are you so
And if she's that
upset
concerned,
with that?
why is she grinning like a Cheshire cat in all the pictures? What's so
You
funny?
should not be insulting. You should not be insulting the facial expression on anyone.
She's insulting my
Because I've not
intelligence
heard
with her
anyone
facial
doing that
expressions.
with you, Piers.
Well, don't grin.
This moron, Piers Morgan, so obsessed right now with Greta Thunberg going into Gaza. Why don't you go yourself? Why don't you support those organizations that are trying to help the people of Gaza? He would not support Anwara, for example. He would not support the charity work that are trying to reach to the people of Gaza. He will not support them at all. But when someone goes to help the people of Gaza, oh, this is a PR stunt. Greta Thunberg is a joke. I mean, come on, moron. You are just beyond pathetic.
So,
If it's that
this is
serious,
so
don't grin.
offensive that
I
it's so
feel
offensive and
desperately concerned.
misogynistic.
I feel desperately concerned for the plight of
Well,
the innocent.
I feel
let me
desperately
finish.
concerned that a
Let me
serious
finish.
journalist talks
Let me
about the
finish.
grin on the face of
Let me
someone
finish.
who's been sailing for 8
Fine,
days.
let me
And
finish.
today you talk about her grimace?
Fine.
Come on.
Let-
I mean, look at Piers Morgan attitude. I mean, he's talking to this lady from the UN, and the way he is acting, the way he's behaving with her, it is so impolite, so insulting. I don't know how she managed to sit there for this long and talking to this moron, but she definitely had the patience for a very long time until she loses it. But Piers Morgan is so pathetic. So I think this is one of the worst performances for him on camera.
Let me
Can we
finish.
talk about Gaza?
I feel very concerned, as I've been saying loudly in the last week, about the ongoing appalling plight of innocent civilians in Gaza. All I can say for sure is that this stunt has done absolutely zero to help any of the people in Gaza. Zero.
This is your opinion, Piers,
Yeah.
and I respect it very much, and it counts 0.
Okay? Well, in
Absolutely.
that case, we will agree to disagree. Thank you very much
Yeah.
indeed for joining
You
me. I
want
appreciate it.
you don't want to talk with me about Gaza and the awful situation there and the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. So you just wanted to talk about what you think it's a stunt.
Yeah.
You called me for that. So
Yes.
I'm international law expert, and you called me on your program to talk about Greta Thunberg.
Well, you've had nearly 20 minutes to talk about whatever you wanted to talk
I
about.
answered your question, Piers.
Yeah, you had 20
answered
minutes.
your
If you wanted to talk about something
However-
else, talk about something else.
However, I won't bother you further. Thank you very much. Till the next one. Bye-bye,
Okay.
Piers.
Bye-bye. Well, joining me now, the American Israeli.
Unbelievable. This moron is unbelievable. Piers Morgan is beyond pathetic. Like, why would you invite an international law expert, as she said herself, and talk about Greta Thunberg and her PR stunt. Oh, this was a PR stunt, Francesca, right? Let's not talk about Gaza. Let's not talk about the genocide. Let's talk about Greta Thunberg, this little girl, what she did. I mean, I don't care what she did. I don't care. Nobody cares. But the only reason I'm saying what she did was the right thing to do is because of nobody doing it. Nobody's doing it. Everybody talk. I mean, for Piers Morgan, it's not even talk. He doesn't even talk about the situation of the people of Gaza or supporting those organizations that are trying to help, reaching out to the people of Gaza. This guy is even more pathetic, but she tried to do something. That's the reason why I supported her, Greta Thunberg, what she did. But that was really not something that should have been discussed in this conversation with an expert on international law. You should be asking question about Gaza because he is so terrified. Piers Morgan is so terrified to talk about Gaza because she is going to expose the truth. She's going to expose Israeli genocidal acts in Gaza. That's why he tried his best to avoid talking to her about the real issue for which she is an expert. Subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.